Hey, now welcome. You are listening to the Millionaires Roundtable. I am your host, Lynn Richardson. It's WVON 1690 AM, the talk of Chicago, the voice of the nation, our favorite radio station. And we are creating millionaires one family at a time, one day at a time, $1 at a time, and one dime at a time. And that means you. Okay, here on the Millionaires Roundtable, we are always going to give it to you real. We are talking today about one of my absolute favorite topics. We are talking about the home buying process and how we're going to demystify it. Buying a home is an exciting and life-changing event, but it can also be a daunting journey, especially if you're new to the process. From understanding the importance of mortgage pre-qualification to navigating interest rates, aspiring homeowners may feel intimidated by the complexity of the home buying process. That's why I am so happy to have Felton Ellington, Community Lending Manager at Chase, on the show today to answer some of the most common questions and demystify the process for prospective home buyers. Welcome to the Millionaires Roundtable, Felton.
Hey, glad to be here, and thanks for having me on the show, Dr. Lynn. Good morning, all the listeners.
Yes. So happy to have you here. So happy to talk about this subject. And, this really is necessary. I have been in the mortgage lending financial services business for almost 30 years. And I bought a house 2 years ago, and it was complex for me. So if it was complex for me, I'm like, everybody else is just, going to really need this information. So I'm really excited about you being here today and sharing, because we cannot reiterate too many times why it's necessary to understand these steps. So, Felton, tell us a little bit about your role at Chase and why you're excited to talk about homeownership with us today.
Thank you very much. And first of all, congratulations on your new investment 2 years ago. I know it's still new, and that's an exciting thing. But I've been in the business for 24 years, been helping folks realize the dream of homeownership the entire time. But at present, my role now is I manage and oversee community and affordable lending. And what that means is that I lead a team of community home lending advisors who work with home buyers in underserved communities to achieve their vision and dream of home ownership. And so my team works directly with community members to provide information and resources that they may need to navigate the home buying process with a lot more confidence. And so I'm here today to answer some of the most common mortgage questions and hopefully bring some of that confidence to your listeners.
Well, Felton, I'm so happy that you're committed to this, and I'm so happy that Chase continues to bring this information. So let's dive into it. I know a lot of my listeners are curious about interest rates. Oh my goodness, interest rates. I think it's the talk of the day, the night, the evening, everything. What should prospective homebuyers know about mortgage interest rates before purchasing a home?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I know interest rates can give us a lot of anxiety, and it's one of those things that we just can't control. But first and foremost, let me say that interest rates are an important piece because the interest rate on your mortgage can have an impact on your monthly payment. And therefore, it also drives how much you can actually afford to spend when you purchase a new home. I would also add that mortgage interest rates is something that is constantly changing. So it's very important to check the current interest rates to see what rate you qualify for before buying a home. And the best way to take advantage of this is to know and understand what possible rates are available. And I think it's a great idea to get qualified or pre-qualified for a mortgage and lock in the interest rate so you won't be impacted in the event that the interest rates go up. And while with some places, getting a written lock-in agreement does come with a fee, it also guarantees that your mortgage rate will not change during that period. And generally, those periods would be anywhere between 30 and 90 days.
Okay, that's an important tip, everybody. You can go on and lock in that agreement or lock in that interest rate. And even if there's a fee, you want to weigh the cost, the benefit analysis of that, because waiting too long and having that interest rate go up could cost you even more. So this is excellent. Felton, I am so excited about continuing this conversation. If you're just tuning in, we're talking with Felton Ellington, Community Lending Manager at Chase. Felton, let's chat more about pre-qualifying for a mortgage. Why is getting pre-qualified a good idea for prospective homebuyers?
I think that's a great question. And you got to realize in the buying process, there's a lot of different parties involved. We've got real estate agents in many cases. We've got obviously the buyer, but we also have the seller. And from a buyer's perspective, the first thing you want to do is know what your buying power is like. So determining your budget. And so the pre-qualification itself helps you understand just how much you can afford. Lenders are going to evaluate your financial system. Lenders are going to evaluate your financial situation. What that looks like is they're going to include things like your income, your expenses, your credit history, and they want to look at these things to help estimate the amount of mortgage you're most likely to qualify for. What this is going to do is it's going to give you a clear budget to work with when you're searching for a new home. The second thing I want to talk about is increasing your negotiating power. So when you find a home that you like, having a pre-qualification letter from a lender is going to demonstrate to the sellers that you're a serious and qualified buyer. This can give you an advantage in negotiations, especially in a competitive real estate market where multiple offers are common, and we're also in markets or situations where we're experiencing low inventory. And the third thing I want to talk about is locking in a favorable interest rate. And while pre-qualification doesn't guarantee your financial interest rate, it can provide insight into rates that you may actually qualify for. So in some cases, you may have the option to lock in an interest rate for a period, protecting you from potential rate increases while you continue the home buying process.
Okay, let me tell you, we've got it. We've got it right here on the Millionaires Roundtable. I'm here with Felton Ellington, Community Lending Manager at Chase. And if you want to know what you need to do to buy a home, this is it right here. So Felton, another common question that we hear is about down payments. What are down payments and how much down payment is needed when buying a home?
Another great question. So I like to look at the down payment as the skin in the game, right? And so when purchasing a home and getting a home loan, the down payment is the money that you pay up front. This amount goes 100% toward the principal, which is going to lower the amount that you're looking to finance on your mortgage. So the more you put down toward the purchase of that home, potentially the lower the interest rate, and also the amount of equity that you're going to build becomes a lot faster. And that being said, down payment options, they could vary based on the type of loan you're looking to take out, the price of the home, and also your FICO score. Some lenders prefer a down payment of 20% of the total purchase price, but you might be eligible for something as low as anywhere from 0 to 3%. But also keep in mind that the more money you put down, the less interest you'll pay over the life of the loan.
Excellent, excellent. If you're just tuning in, we've been talking to Felton Ellington, Community Lending Manager at Chase. Felton, this is good. This is good. So, Felton, paying a down payment upfront can be a major roadblock for folks seeking to purchase a home. Are there any down payment assistance programs that can help?
I love this question because this is one of my favorite topics here. But of course, yes, the answer is yes. The short answer is yes. It's important to know that you or the home, believe it or not, the home address that you're looking to buy may qualify for local, state, or national home buying assistance programs. These programs may be these programs may be able to help with some or all of your down payment. You can also work with your lender to identify those appropriate programs, but they can also assist with the application process. So for example, at Chase, we created a $5,000 Chase Homebuyer Grant, which is available in over 15,000 census tracts across the nation. So if we were to filter that down, that translates to about 700 communities here in the Chicagoland area throughout both the south as well as the west sides of the city.
Wow, that's amazing, amazing. And it's really, really important for everybody to understand that help is out here. You just have to ask for it. So please don't be afraid to ask for help. Felton, this is just amazing. Is there anything else in your role at Chase and what you are doing for the community? Is there anything else you want to share with our audience?
Yes, thanks for bringing this up. I would add that we talked a lot about interest rates, and that was kind of like the buzzword of the conversation. But let's not let that deter us from seeking the abilities to purchase a home. Becoming a homeowner is a very important step. Land is power. I think it's in the Bible as well. And I think the biggest advice that I could give to you is find out what your buying power looks like. Find out and make sure that what you're looking to get into in terms of a mortgage fits your budget. And from the interest rate, of course, it's a big part of it, But at the end of the day, it's ultimately based upon what you can afford and what you're comfortable with paying. And we find that many folks qualify to make a mortgage payment, which might be equal or even less than what you're currently paying in rent. The difference is you have ownership in that land. So my advice is find out where you're at. If this is your desire to become a homeowner, sit down and have a conversation, talk to a professional, and don't be afraid of hearing not right now, but hopefully we can turn that into a yes in the future.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Chase. Thank you so much, Felton Ellington. Please come back. Give us as much information as you have available, whatever it is. We want to hear it because we want to keep building and keep making millionaires one family at a time, one day at a time, $1 at a time, and one dime at a time. And we know that home ownership is an important part of building overall wealth. Thank you so much. Don't turn that dial. We have to take a break. We'll be right back. WVON.
More of the Millionaires Roundtable coming up on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
Welcome back. You're listening to the Millionaires Roundtable. I'm your host, Lynn Richardson, and we are creating millionaires one family at a time, one day at a time, $1 at a time, and one dime at a time. And that means you. So you've heard me say so many times, I've said it before, I'll say it again, homeownership is the foundation for building wealth. Yes, even in an inflationary economy. We have been talking about what it's going to take to get to the next level. I have been sharing basically what we've all known, and that is since World War II and even before, but specifically after World War II and after, the onset of Jim Crow and many other systematic biases that were put in place, African Americans have been, and continue to be denied access to home ownership. Right now, African American home ownership is at about 44% compared to the home ownership of white Americans, and that's somewhere around 75%. We know that the average net worth or the median net worth of an African American household is about $10,000, while the median net worth of a white family is over $100,000. And I want to just interject there for my brown brothers and sisters, Hispanics, the median net worth is somewhere around $20,000. So on the scale, when you look at net worth, African Americans fall far behind, and we are not even beginning to tip the scale in terms of home ownership. So yes, home ownership is the foundation for building wealth. While interest rates have skyrocketed, and really they have not skyrocketed, 6% isn't bad compared to 9 and 10% is what they were when I came into the mortgage industry over 23 years ago. And from what I understand, they were even higher than that. They were 15 and 16%. What are y'all gonna do when interest rates get 15 and 16%? Let me tell you what you're gonna do. You're gonna keep buying real estate because home ownership is still the foundation for building wealth. And what it requires now is that we have a strategy. Here to talk about home ownership and what to do in an inflationary economy is my sister, your icon, our legend, my friend, MC Light. Welcome to the Roundtable, MC Light.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be with you. And
yes.
This topic. Wow.
Yeah. You know, I have been asked to speak on various platforms because people are in a panic. Gas costs $1,000 a gallon. But I keep telling people, go get your money back. If you have a home-based business, every time you get in that car and you drive that car for business, you can now track that mileage. And when it's time to do your taxes, you're either going to take the mileage deduction or you're going to take the expense deduction. And I would imagine right now is a time to go on and take that expense deduction. And for everybody who's buying a new car, make sure you are buying it with the right intentions. And if you do have a home-based business and you know you have to move around, then go on and lease the car in the business name, make the entire thing a tax write-off, and go from there. So there are ways to manage during an inflationary economy. And although we're talking about home ownership light, I just wanted to share that example because the truth is we are not in shackles. We are not in bondage. We can make choices and we can be free. So home ownership, that's the one consistent, the stock market is up and down. We don't know what's going on with it. Although I still suggest dollar cost averaging and continuing to put your money in the stock market or your mutual fund or your ETF or whatever method you have chosen to invest for long-term purposes. But for today, keeping your eyes on the prize is important, and homeownership is a part of that prize. And like ever since you've been in the public, basically space, you've understood the importance of homeownership. How do you think this is working in your life and in the lives of just the general public right now today, given all that's going on?
Well, what you just said in terms of, you were joking though, $1,000 a gallon for gas, it's so easy for us to, get bogged down in what it is that we need to do on the daily, just every day, trying to function within our means, but also being taxed to the limit on every item. Like inflation is just outrageous right now. Even in the midst of all of that, you can still have a goal to buy a home. And, I talk a lot about those first-time home buyers, but then there are those who had a home and lost their home, who are really gun-shy about owning anything, which now we need to help them work up the courage and the stamina for what is next. And I love what it is that you do as it relates to the home ownership and home buyers club, because sometimes you need a support team. Well, not sometimes, all the time. You need a support team to tell you the things that you don't know and to make you aware of all of the ins and outs. Because really, in buying a home and getting a mortgage, you have to play their game. And you have to know the rules to their game. And you have to know the obstacles before they come. You have to know the whole course. Yeah.
Yeah, I tell my students and everybody all the time, and we've been talking about the obstacles. You have to know them before they come. Because if an obstacle is presented to you in the home buying process or in the mortgage approval process, in many cases, it's too late to change. Okay, it's too late to change. So one of those obstacles that could confront you is lack of income, your self-employment income. And if you've got a W-2, you don't need to use your self-employment income, so you don't need to send a tax return. Sending a tax return that's showing a loss on your self-employment income when you already have a W-2 could be a red flag. The underwriter could now start taking your loss and subtracting it from your income. So you got to learn the rules of the game. And I always say you must play the game by the rules. The harvest is here. The time is now. Hi, I'm financial expert Lynn Richardson. You may have seen me on Good Morning America, The Steve Harvey Show, or Get Up Mornings with Erica Campbell. Guess what? Did you know you can get your money back if you hire your kids? You can get your money back if you go out to eat. You can get your money back if you go on a vacation. Well, guess what? In my book, Get Your Money Back, Tax Deductions You Never Know About, I'm going to teach you how you can get your money back with your home-based business legally, ethically, and all with the permission of the IRS. Just go to AskLynn.org.
Let's talk about real estate, real estate, real estate.
Hi, I'm financial expert Lynn Richardson. You've seen me on Good Morning America, The Breakfast Club, and WVON. I'm so excited about sharing with you the Home Buyers Club. It's time for you to get the home of your dreams. No credit, no problem. Low credit, no problem. No down payment, no problem. I am excited about you getting a piece of the American dream. Join the Home Buyers Club today. So what is the action of the day and the word of the hour? The action of the day is to devise your plan. That is the action. Devise your plan. What is your plan during an inflationary economy? The plan is not to just go with the flow. The plan is not to just wake up every day, confused, helpless, not knowing if you're going left, right, up, or down. The plan is not to get on the phone talking to everybody about the way the plan is not working. The plan is to devise a plan. Devise a plan. What is it that you want? Do you want to see an income stream from real estate? Do you want to turn your rent payment into a mortgage payment? Do you want to understand how to take advantage of interest rates that are rising right now and why it makes sense to jump on board right now? Devise a plan. The word of the hour is, the Bible says, plans fail for lack of counsel, but with many advisors, they succeed. Okay? So you devise a plan, but now you need the many advisors. I don't want you doing this alone because you don't have to. The harvest is here. The time is now. Don't turn that dial. We have to take a break. We'll be right back. WVON.
More of the Millionaires Roundtable coming up on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
Welcome back. You're listening to the Millionaires Roundtable. I'm your host, Lynn Richardson, and we are creating millionaires one family at a time, one day at a time, $1 at a time, and $1 at a time, and that means you. Yes, we're talking about the myths of homeownership in an inflationary economy, and the number one myth is that now is not the time to buy. That is the biggest myth ever. Here's the problem. I know that interest rates are increasing, have increased. We've just experienced the single largest interest rate hike since 1987, I believe it is. But again, even 6%, it seems high to those who are accustomed to, and it's only been a short time that we've been accustomed to interest rates being 2 and 3%. It seems high in comparison to that, but it's low in comparison to 9 and 10%. So for that reason alone, it is a good idea to start your plan to buy today. You don't want to wait until they're 8% or 9% or 10%. There is no guarantee that rates are going back down to 2%. In the 20 plus years that I've been doing this, they've never been 2%. They had not been 3%. So what you don't want to do is wait another 20 years thinking I need to wait until they go down. No, we've got to make some adjustments. But before we can make the adjustments, we've got to learn how to work together. So like I shared, I said that the number one reason why we are still lagging behind as a community, I would say as the Black community in particular, specifically, and then I would even carve out the segment within the Black community that holds the decisions for wealth. African American women are making the decisions about our wealth more than 80% of the time, whether we are married or not. And I know that to be true because early in my marriage, I was making all the decisions. They were bad ones, but I was making them. And, all too often we want to take credit for what we do that's right, but we don't want to really look in the face or stare in the face, or we don't want to face what we're doing that is not right. And so I believe that if we work together more, we'd be wealthier as a community, and we'd move up the ladder in terms of median wealth. And we can't control income necessarily, but you know what? We can if we hire each other in our businesses. So I think working together is the number one reason. What are your thoughts?
I absolutely think working together has a lot to do with how far, how much further we could be in the financial world. But I have to tell you this because I think the psyche and history plays a great part in this. And that is, it's a number of things. Okay, so I've always heard, even as a kid, from various adults, that when you go to get someone Black to do a service or a job, it doesn't meet the standard. Or, like I'd rather hire someone else because ... When you hire a black person to do it, they either get there late, they either don't have all of the items. It's all of these fallacies that have been a part of our history and will play a part in our future if we cannot rewrite the story and make up our own minds and not listen to the tall tales that have been told throughout history. And black people are lazy, that they're going to run away with the money, or, there's all sorts of things that I have heard throughout my life that are just plain out false. That's one thing. The other thing is, whenever it is that we have united, we have been punished. Now, depending on what the uniting is happening for, but it feels like whether it's to fight for our freedom, or it feels like on the total other part of the spectrum, and, being financially free is freedom as well. But now I'm going to talk about just what it took to build cities, what it took to build communities, and having our own. When we've done it, we've been punished. Our cities have been burned. Our, schools, our everything that we had spent years building had been burnt down to a crisp. And that was because people had come together. And the moment we come together and we make something look like something, someone else wants to come and tear it down. And so that can remain in the psyche. It's like, you know what? Instead of us all trying to work together, let's work separately, and maybe we can all get somewhere and not look so attractive that we wind up under the gun and scrutiny of others that want to come and damage and destroy what we have.
That sounds plausible. And from a global view, I think we could look back, or even right now in the present, you can just look back to yesterday as the past and say, that could be a reason. But I don't think we fail to work together because we think somebody's going to tear it down. But you know what? The harvest is here and the time is now. We're going to keep exploring this.
Give yourself the gift of wealth with no limits. Lynn Richardson and New Wealth University is giving 50% off on the Platinum Wealth Ambassador Program. The Platinum Wealth Ambassador Program will give you 2 full years of unlimited access to all of Lynn's online classes, books, boot camps, master classes, and webinars. So, give yourself the gift of wealth with no limits with 50% off on the Platinum Wealth Ambassador Program, available on lynnrichardson.com. Who should you go to for financial advice? Author, TV personality, and celebrity financial coach, Lynn Richardson.
Let's bring in financial expert Lynn Richardson.
My girl, Lynn Richardson.
We have Dr. Lynn Richardson. Good morning.
Financial expert Lynn Richardson.
Lynn knows what's up.
We're joined by financial expert Lynn Richardson, author of Get Your Money Back, Tax Deductions You Never Knew About.
Be at peace with the money that you have, because everybody knows money cannot buy happiness.
To learn more about Lynn Richardson's webinars, books, and online courses, please go to lynnrichardson.com.
Okay, so do you honestly think we fail to work together because we're afraid they're going to come and get our stuff, or, penalize us in some way? Or do we fail to work together because we don't want anybody in our business? Come on now.
Well, the truth is, it could be either, depending on. See, what I think we sometimes forget is how much of our DNA plays a role in our decisions. And so, yes, I think you are correct in saying lots of times it's because one may not want another in their business, or not knowing what they don't know. And you know what? I can speak to this because in the music industry, we have people that come in really young, really green, don't know a lot about anything, yet they're with a camp of people and they've got to keep up this air that they're either being educated by the people that they're rolling with, or that they just know what it is that they're doing. And most times they don't. They're coming in at 16, 17, 18 years old, don't know anything about the music business. And sometimes they think they know something, but they don't. Or they've learned something the incorrect way. Yet they're not open to sharing what it is that they don't know or do know because of, fear of being judged, because you're in the business. You should know it. And I think lots of times that spills over, of course, into, outside of the music industry, into just ordinary living, that people don't want you to know how ignorant they may be to a particular subject.
I think there's another element there. I think primarily we don't work together because we don't want anybody in our business. And I'm going to say that both ways. Those of us who have succeeded don't want anybody in our business, and those of us who are failing don't want anybody in our business. So everybody has no business because you don't want anybody in your business. And the truth is, they say mind your own business. No, we need to be minding everybody's business, everybody else's business. That's how it was when I was growing up. You couldn't just go outside and do what you wanted to do. If your mother did not see you and get you, then the neighbor down the street would. And so, one, we don't want anybody in our business. And then two, and I think this is either equal or may even have more weight, we don't want to be accountable. So if we all get together, and I am challenging every single person who is listening to this, if you are failing, reach out to somebody who's succeeding and sit down and have a conversation. If you are winning, reach out to somebody who's failing and sit down and have a conversation. You know who's failing around you. Keisha and Ray and whoever else it is. And I'm saying those names, and I'm not being disrespectful, but we do have cousins named Keisha and Ray, okay? And when I say that, that I'm talking about, and I'm not putting anybody in any category, because we have the first black mayor of Atlanta. Her name is Keisha. So I'm not saying that Keisha is associated with some lower level of existence. But you all know when I say Keisha and Ray, you know that I'm talking about our people, okay? And because we do have Keishas and Rays who are making it, I want us to talk to us about what we need to do to help us. So who's struggling. Even if they're fronting, that they got some stuff that they need to work out. The people in your house and your family who don't own a home. You know what? I'm putting myself out here now, because everybody that doesn't have a house in my family gonna hear from me regularly until they either block my number or, whatever, until they buy a home. So I think that we have to work together. And I have said that, the Bible says that plans fail for lack of counsel, but with many advisors they succeed. And in many cases, our advisors start with the people who we are looking at every single day, who are right in our faces, our family members. We rely on for, a Thanksgiving dinner, but we will not rely on these same people to have a conversation about how to build wealth. And we need to stop it. The harvest is here. And yes, guess what? The time is now. Don't turn that dial. We have to take a break. We'll be right back. WVON.
More of the Millionaires Roundtable coming up on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
Welcome back. You're listening to the Millionaires Roundtable. I'm your host, Lynn Richardson, and we are creating millionaires one family at a time, one day at a time, $1 at a time, and $1 at a time, and that means you. So yes, we're talking about the myths of homeownership during an inflationary economy. As prices go up, everybody is going berserk. Folks are trying to figure out what's going on. But the truth of the matter is like that when the cost of necessary things gets higher, we need to decrease our spending on unnecessary things. That's just what it is. It's almost like forced budgeting, forced discipline. And it's great if that comes internally, naturally to you. But if it doesn't, then the world will certainly teach you how to budget. Because, I don't know anything about this new gas. I'm not buying any gas. I refuse.
You said this new gas. That's hilarious.
Yeah, this new gas they talking about for $7, $8, $9, $10 a gallon, baby, buy. Because the last time gas went up, to a number that I had not recognized in my lifetime, it was during the recession of 2008. And so gas was $4.50 a gallon. It got to $5.
I do remember that.
Remember? And so I instituted gas price distance. That was my new rule. I had a concept called gas price distance. And so if you wanted me to come somewhere, the first thing I went to check to see is if it was in gas price distance, meaning within a 1 mile radius of my home. If it wasn't within a mile, I wasn't going, period. I changed churches. My kids went to a new school. All of the, Walgreens, CVS, everything was a few blocks away. I didn't go anywhere. That was it. The only place I went outside of gas price distance was the airport to go travel, to go make some money to afford the gas that I could, So I just think that we all have to buckle down. So the next myth, the number one reason for wealth, as far as I'm concerned, is because we don't work together. I know that there are a lot of external things, but as long as you focus on external things that you cannot change, you do not get to leverage the energy to change the internal things. And I'm always going to be an advocate for changing what I can. The serenity prayer, tells us to accept the things we cannot change the things we can, and know the difference between the two. And I cannot change systematic racism. I cannot change bias, but what I can do is change me. Take my time, get a plan, work with a team, and then I don't even understand. If you're buying a house and you're not in the home buyers club, I don't know what to tell you. Because I'm going to tell you that more than probably 70-80% of our people, of African-American people who go to get a mortgage, somewhere along that process, you're going to get tripped up and you're probably going to get denied. And you may get denied for a reason that you cannot change, okay? However, if you go in with a plan, you can set up your financial strategy so that it meets the requirements of the mortgage. And the only way for you to do that is to go get a mortgage license or join the Home Buyers Club. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Now, the first myth that we talked about, was interest rates are too high, but interest rates are relative. I'm going to tell you, don't wait till they get higher. Do not let interest rates being high stop you from buying a home. If they go up to 9% and then 10%, then what are you going to do? That's the first myth. The next myth, that people are, thinking is that it's cheaper to rent. It's not cheaper to rent. People are charging a whole lot of money for your rent. People's rent is going up from $1,000 to $1,500, or from $1,500 to $2,200. So I want you to understand that you have power. The harvest is here. The time is now. So if you want to reap a harvest, you've got to know when it is harvest season. And I don't want people to get confused and believe that harvest season is over. Now, during the pandemic, or during the height of the pandemic, lots of people were able to come up. For those who were wise enough to invest in the stock market when it crashed, right around March 16th of 2020, these people were able to realize massive returns. I'm talking shares of stock that had dropped to, $50 a share that went up to $900 a share. Some people were able to really come up. I came up somewhat. I didn't get in right at the beginning of the quarantine. I was too focused on the fact that I had to be in a quarantine and didn't know what that meant. So I was not focusing on the stock market when I was trying to figure out if everybody was going to live and what was this new plague, this thing that we were all dealing with. But as things began to get normal and I began to understand what this was and that I needed to just stay in the house, that was my, solution. I was able to realize some gains, and so were you. Like, people were buying homes. Interest rates were okay, but then there came a time when interest rates got even lower and homeownership became more possible. And so we thought that was the season of the harvest and that it's gone. No, I proclaim, and I am saying and stating that the season is still here, and we just have to recognize it. Okay, she's not going to speak. All righty.
Yes, you are absolutely right. The season is now. My point of view, the season never ends. There's always a way and a will to move forward and find the nuances of the moment that work for you. It's all according to the strategy, which is what it is that you've been stating all along. And when you have time to plan and when you've got the best minds in the room with you, there's really no way to fail.
Yeah. No, I think it's important for us all to buckle down. When the going gets tough, the tough gets going. I think that was even a song. And it's not a cliche. That truly is what it is. And you are not going to be as great as you were made to be until you overcome the greatest challenge that is before you. And right now, we have been in a bit of a challenge. But guess what? You can win. People are winning. And winning requires a strategy. Nobody wins the Olympics without a strategy. Nobody wins the championship without a strategy. Even during the game, at the end of a basketball game, if it's really close, they'll stop the game. They'll, call a timeout or whatever to put that strategy in for that final play. And so this is not the final play. We are in the game. It is your season, and you can still win. So I am encouraging us all to ignore the myths and get in the truth. And the truth is that we can do this together because the harvest is here and the time is now. You have been listening to the Millionaires Roundtable. I am your host, Lynn Richardson. It's WVON 1690 AM, the talk of Chicago, the voice of the nation, our favorite radio station. I want you to follow me on social media at Lynn Richardson. Follow this show at Lynn Millionaire. Go and get help at asklynn.org because I want to help you take it to the next level. Guess what? I'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye. Thank you.